Welcome back to Tech Week TV. My name's Grant from Deloitte, and as part of our TV slots, we thought we'd do something a little bit interesting with this one. We figured in Tech Week there's going to be a lot about clouds, about corporate IT, about digital front doors, around digitizing everything. So we thought we'd take a little step into the future and really push into the world of digital collectibles, NFT, Web3, and what it actually means to really digitize the physical world. We're lucky to have Dan and Dave with us from a wonderful New Zealand company called VeVe, a company you probably, many of you won't have heard, but for those of us who have heard of VeVe, you'll be raving fans. So this is a great opportunity for us to learn about VeVe, learn about a world that is evolving around us, and learn about what makes the customers of VeVe, not just customers, but absolutely bonkers fans. So with that, I'm going to hand over to some questions so we can learn about VeVe, and we'll pick up from there and ask some of the stupid questions, of which I have many, around what someone does with a digital collectible. So, team, VeVe, it's been a spectacular success story that probably very few people have heard of. So for those of us who are starting out from scratch, can you explain to us what VeVe is, what you do, and how you came upon this business?
So at the core of the business, we are a collectibles company. However, with the advent of these new digital technologies like blockchain, etc., that has allowed us to effectively replicate what everybody knows and loves about collectibles in the physical world into a digital environment. And that means all your collectibles are there with you in the palm of your hand. And I guess we'll talk a little bit later about what we can do with it. But really, we work with some of the world's largest IP companies like Marvel, Disney, MGM, as well as a large range of artists to bring their work as beautiful 3D models into the digital world.
So you're just a platform for someone else's digital collectibles, or do you take what they have and reproduce that as a sort of a collectible in your environment?
A little bit of both. We are a platform, and that is obviously some of our longer term goals to be a more of a platform. However, at the moment, we work directly in conjunction with our licensor partners to produce the assets. A small percentage of our licensors will actually produce the content themselves and deliver it to us in the form of a 3D model or a 3D asset. And for most of the other licensors, we actually handle all of that in-house with, AAA studios around the world, etc.
So now we've oriented on what you do. Before I get into the detail of technology and things like that, I want to get a sense of the growth and therefore the demand for digital collectibles. So give us some stats. How long have you been in business, customer numbers, and some growth figures around what you've experienced in this market. Also maybe paint a picture for the viewers about a New Zealand business on a global scale.
Thank you. We started this idea in early 2017, and really once we grasped the concept, what we wanted to do, the business venture is set to go. We really only launched to the open beta in 2021 during the COVID period, which some of us say in a way it's a good thing. People were staying at home. They were easily able to download our apps through the App Store, through Google, as well as from Apple. We had a tremendous download, multi-million downloads, active users, engagement is over 260,000 every single week. We have sold about 8.5 million NFTs through some of the lower pricing point from $6.99 US for a digital comic. And our products span for different age group, from Sesame Street to your Rambo, Tarzan fans out there. I did some maths the other day. If we were physically producing these products, we have sold over 600 containers of merchandise. We'll be shipping that out since we've been launched. The revenue was exceptionally great for the first, obviously the first couple years. Our secondary market, what we call it the GMV, gross market value transaction, was over 1.5 billion US in terms of that turnover. So it was very exceptional. And we haven't had time to really celebrate our success, because every single week on week is almost putting on a beautiful show with, our audience expect us to be producing world-class premium items, and with many more months to come with great releases.
So you talked about that secondary market. So as a consumer, I can buy the things that I'm passionate about in terms of a digital collectible. I can store them in the VeVe app and in other sort of digital environments. And then I can sell them, is what I picked up from that conversation around a secondary market. Is that your own market, or do you sell on another market?
Yeah, so the app basically has the first primary purchase, where you we call it a drop. So every week, there's up to 5 days a week, we're releasing products from comics to collectibles. Sometimes set AM PST time. There's a countdown clock on it. You need to be in front of the app basically to do the buy now. Once you purchase it, you own that edition. It gets shipped to your wallets in your VeVe account, and then you can participate in the secondary market if you missed out. So you could go and pick up one of these collectibles. Unfortunately, parts of the world, AM PST time doesn't fit them. So they wake up, they go to the secondary market, which is within VeVe, and once again, you can make that transaction happen. Why we made it end to end is for the ease of it, because people want to be able to have utility value out of it. People want to see the AR. They want to decorate their showroom that we give you. And that secondary market is a very important aspect in collecting. I mean, a lot of young teens these days, when they go to a retail shop, they open up a pack of cards. Straight away, they jump on the eBay or TradeMe, and they look at, what price is this collectible in the secondary market? So we have that facility work for our users.
Okay, so we're going to dive a little bit into tech here, because we hear a lot of things about NFTs and blockchain and Bitcoin and this and that and other Web3 tech. So what's underlying your sort of VeVe platform? What of those acronyms are brought to life in a customer experience, and how does it sort of work in practice? We'll start there, and then I want to get into how hard was it to find the skills and talent to really crack that with all this new and emerging technology. So let's pick apart the tech stack a little bit, and let's understand that, and then we'll get into the talent side.
Sure thing. VeVe has a lot of different technologies within it. So number one, just to touch on the blockchain side of things. So I guess for the anybody who's watching that doesn't necessarily know what blockchain is, at its simple level, it allows us to create a limited number of digital assets. You might remember from the past, pre-blockchain, where I could send you a digital JPEG file or whatever as many times as I wanted, and it could be infinitely duplicated. However, blockchain basically allows us to say we only want to mint 10,000 of these particular collectibles, and then each of those 10,000 are issued to a user, and only they have access to that collectible. So there's that one side of it, and then also it's very difficult to do any kind of counterfeits with blockchain technology. So that's just on the at the lower side of it, where it's giving you the ownership over the particular item. The other layers we have on top of that is all around the actual application itself, which is on mobile and web, and that's how you interface with the store for drops, the secondary market, etc. And then we have a large, as I mentioned earlier, all of our models are 3D assets, because we didn't really want to just sell like a picture, like a JPEG, a limited edition JPEG, because if we do it in 3D, even though that's a lot more effort on our side, the application or the utility of it is significantly more engaging and more exciting for the users. So a big part of our tech stack is the Unity game engine or Unity game environment. And through that, we're able to, if you own a Batman or a Superman or a Spider-Man, you can actually project that 3D character in augmented reality, and then you can do things with it. Like, for example, we recently dropped Lamborghini, and you can turn that Lamborghini when it's in AR into like a radio control car, as in, to a little steering wheel and joystick comes up and you can drive it around. back in my day, it was an actual radio control car, but this is sort of like the new digital equivalent. A lot of fun. So, outside of the sort of the app, almost the game environment, and then the blockchain is probably the three main.
So you buy it on the platform, you can view it, interact with it on the platform in the app. You can then project that or display that through Unity, put your goggles on, and then have a good experience with it.
Yeah.
Goggles
soon.
Oh, goggles soon.
But right now you could use it through the mobile.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, true. So it's
augmented reality.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And then I have to say the other layer.
You're going to get to the point where you can take that character and drop it into gameplay.
That is what we are working on right now.
Cool. That's mad. And I've got 2 teenage gamers. They love that.
Yeah. It makes sense. Like, people grind to, create these characters or get very special weapons. And traditionally, they are locked within the platform or within the game.
Yep.
But once those become NFTs or digital collectibles, there's a lot more desire to get them and collect them. And then there's obviously ongoing revenue for, both the owner and the licensor.
So I'm going to pull you back. You threw out that other 3-letter acronym, which you didn't cover off in the first bit of the tech stack. NFT.
Yep.
So I know what the N, the F, and the T stand for, but I'm not sure I really know what it all means. So can you take us through what NFT actually means?
It's very simple. So NFT is non-fungible token. A fungible token means that it is something of value for equal value. So I give you $1, you give me $1 worth of goods. And that is set by, we know $1 mixture of lollies is worth $1. Really, when you come into the collectible and the art industry, almost everything is non-fungible, as in the value of it is determined by how much you want it and how much you will pay for it. So that's why, when, we might sell a collectible, like let's say a comic for $6.99, there's 5 different covers of different rarities and different editions. If you manage to get a secret rare, lowest edition, you might be able to, after buying it for $6.99, sell it for $200 or $300, depending on how much desire there is for that comic. Obviously, if it's what we call a grail comic within the app, it's a very popular, significant issue that will go for higher. But again, it just comes down to how much people are willing to pay for it, and that's the non-fungible side of things.
So we got through the tech stack. I just want to now talk about the talent that underpins the business, and particularly reflect on where that talent is. So it's an elegantly put together app, elegantly put together business model. Under the surface, it's got to be complex as all heck, right? So you're talking about microseconds to sell out a particular collectible range. So you've got transactional volume going through. You've got big surges coming through. I assume that you've got to take payment over those microseconds to large amounts. So you've got that, which is like this big transactional backbone. Plus you've got to have the talent to render and develop a really immersive experience around that collectible in 3D, into different platforms, etc. So you've got this range of talent requirements. Where have these people come from? Where are they? And how have you managed to navigate that sort of talent journey around what is leading edge technology?
Yeah, I would say there's sort of 2 phases of VeVe. There was the beginning launch period, which was, as you can probably imagine, just utterly chaotic. We were almost doing 20-hour days, for that first whole year. And then there's the post-launch, which we're in now. In the beginning, I still remember, in end of 2020, we were sitting there, the app hadn't launched, anything like that. And we were sitting on a table going, I hope someone buys a digital Batman, because it was extremely new back then. Even when we started, there was no such thing as an NFT per se, which is why we always refer to them as digital collectibles. And, we sort of projected that in year 1, we would have 60,000 active users by the end of year 1. And so our whole tech stack, our pipeline, for the drops, the payment, everything was all built around that assumption that we would have 60,000 users. When that went to 60,000 users in like the 5th or 6th week of launching, everything started to break. Our whole pipelines, we just couldn't handle it. Our drops used to be like 4 a.m. in the morning New Zealand time. So I'd wake up at 6 and I'd almost just dread like, messages from the developers, or, the drop system broke, like blah, blah, blah. But, it was, I guess, like any company, as they go through massive growth like that, we would just constantly rebuild the pipeline, get it up to this point, and then, something else would break, and then kind of move on. So that probably took us a good maybe 3 to 4 months to get that whole pipeline down, so we could actually handle, millions of requests in that tiny second. Because the way that the drop works is everyone's waiting, and then within a second, that drop happens. And in the server world or the cloud world, that's basically exactly what a DDoS attack is on a server. So it was very strange. We never anticipated that we would have to spend millions of dollars preventing people from buying our product, in terms of like, bot attacks, trying to find vulnerabilities. So yeah, there was during that first sort of year, just massive security layers, expanding the pipelines, etc. And we were just very lucky. Our first CTO was just a very fastidious guy, managed to get a good team together in the beginning, and got us to that point of where we...
And this is all in New Zealand?
No, for our team, it's fully remote. We don't even have offices or anything like that. We just basically work from home.
Okay, this story gets more and more bonkers, so just keep on going.
And then there's that sort of post-launch period. It was all about scale. We needed to make sure we had a much bigger team in place with much more granular level of, technological ability. And that's the phase we're in now, where we have very, very strong team, very strong infrastructure in terms of our development pipeline and cycles.
So I'm going to flick us over to the other side of the business. You got to have content. So then you got this company from New Zealand that's written this app that needs content. You don't generate the content yourself. So what do? Do you put on your best collectible t-shirt, turn up in Hollywood at a studio and say, hey, can we partner with you and turn your physical into digital? How did that play out?
Pretty much that there was that. We wouldn't leave without getting some of the meeting. But you do have to keep in mind, we knock on 500-600 doors. We have meetings. Most of these juggernaut studios, they didn't understand what we were on about. And
so just give the audience some names here, because it is completely mad who you've got on board as content partners.
So I think almost every gaming movie studios with us, we have, obviously the Disney family is a quite big one. They cover from Lucasfilm, from the Marvels, the Pixar, the Disney, and the park experience. Then we have Sony, we have MGM,
Canal,
Studio Canal.
Yeah. I think it's about 2.
Universal, DC, Warner Brothers, Viacom, NBC. Pretty much all your movie studio and gaming houses are now starting to come on. We have announced Capcom from Japan, Ubisoft. It's a big French conglomerate in the gaming space. And really, these studios didn't really understand this digital new footprints, this new product they were developing. I think it was very difficult because when we first started pitching it, we didn't even have an app, right? I mean, we were
in development, yeah. So it was all just pictures.
So you couldn't really even demonstrate to them. And so every single time we go up there, and I'll remember we'd be on the Uber, we'd be updating our business deck and our slides, because we go, well, they didn't quite like that slide, so we better update this before we go in. And we had 10, 15 minutes, we get to there, the executive will jump in and say, well, show us what he had. And then we have to go through every single slide and how we envision the app will look like. And I think a major part of these companies is that they really understood that we are collected ourselves, so we wanted to bring the best of their storytelling into the interactive space. Another major side is that we don't really just see the NFT stop where we are today. We really see that product we have developed is just really a byproduct to something greater and bigger in this Web3 ecosystem. So it is just the beginning.
Let's continue that trajectory, because I'm buying what you're selling. So tell me where this is going.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, like the purchase of digital goods year on year grows about 25 to 32%, and we all know, even like buying an ebook, or, even in games now, you can buy skins, etc. These are all digital asset sales. So, people are getting more and more used to buying something that is intangible, and that's effectively the sort of the business that we're in. And right now, it's all about buying these collectibles in this sort of closed ecosystem. And one of the features we had in the app was called the virtual showroom, because, if you know any collectors, you'll go into their room and they'll have all their collectibles and comics on shelves with nice lighting, looking amazing. And for us, it was very important that we replicated that, that part of the joy in the digital world. So right now, for the past couple of years, we've effectively had a Web 2.5 virtual showroom where I can go in, I can set it up, I can invite other people in to have a look at it, but they're just there in a solo experience. So it would have been a couple of years ago, before all of the kind of the hype happened around metaverses, is that we realized that, there's a lot of opportunity in this, these sort of virtual digital spaces. So we sort of set out to start to build our own metaverse. And for us, it was a bit different because we already have a use case for it. Like, we already have fans going in, setting up these showrooms. So for us to be able to expand on that and offer way more features, a lot more social interactivity, etc., is just a very natural pathway for us. So yeah, for us, the future is kind of two parts. Number one, there's the virtual world, and the other one is there's the augmented world. And augmented is where, Apple have already announced that they are, sort of announced that they're bringing out augmented reality glasses. So you can walk into your room, or your email will be up on the side of your vision. But for us, that means that all of the digital collectibles you own, I can put them all in a corner of my house, or I can put them all on the shelves. And because I'm wearing the AR glasses, I will see them as just part of my normal life, like I will now. So that's always been a long part of the long game of our vision, that one day digital assets will be integrated into our everyday life. And then the other side is where you've got the fully virtual worlds, whether that's through computer or phone or goggles, where we can create these big worlds. And one of the other really important parts of what we do is that we give users their own open space in the 3D world, and then they can build that, design it how they want, whether it's one building or 5 buildings or a big landmass, and then they can put all of their collectibles in there, interact with them, etc. So that's where it's kind of going for us on the Web3 side.
To round us out, then finish us off, you said you're both crazy collectibles or collectors yourself. What's the most treasured thing that each of you have in your collectibles library, digital or physical?
Pretty tough, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we both have both quite into digital. Obviously, we're a customer of our own product, and we're very lucky to grab some of the earlier pieces that we released, which is the Season 1 collectibles, and it's still the most sought after collection. And I only wish we bought more of that, because the value of them, and people really embrace that this is the holy grail. And how we see it is that a lot of these characters, you can imagine this, the Mickey Mouse, the Steamboat Willies, the first appearance in digital format is appealing in VeVe. So in physical world, same thing. I collect the first appearance of like Spider-Man or Iron Man on a comic book, and I get them graded. So those are very valuable. So it's some of these first appearance characters coming into a new format, a new medium. They are definitely very sought after. And we really do believe that collectors who buys, things, collecting stamps or artworks, these are very, there's an emotional attachment to it because they grew up with it. And now they can own a digital, take it with them in the palm of the phone and show it to anyone, anytime.
Oh God, what is my favorite?
There's so many.
Do you want a top 50 or?
No, we got 10 more minutes.
Yeah, I guess from my side, very similar to Dave. Some of these collectibles that we created in the very first season, I think we're up to season 6 now. A lot of these were some of the artists or the brands that Dave and I were most passionate about in those early days. So yeah, there's artists we know, a guy called Simone Ligno who owns a brand called Tokidoki. He would create some beautiful custom exclusive content for VeVe, and one of them was called Dragon Girl, and I'd say that's probably one of my favorite pieces in terms of its aesthetic. It's very hard. We've created so many. I think it's over 1,000 unique individual collectibles. And then physical, I don't even know. I've got too many to make a...
Excellent. That's awesome. I think at that point, we'll call it a wrap. Thank you so much for coming in. And as I said at the beginning, wanted to move outside of the typical realms of corporate IT and clouds and really push our thinking forward into the digitization of everything. And I think you certainly delivered on that. So thank you very much for coming in.